Really quick tip for this PX730WD. It occurred to me that these particular printers are now upwards of 10 years plus old. And as a result, there's going to be some of you who have reset the waste ink counter on these and then forgotten about them, or you've bought a second-hand printer where somebody's done that and then flogged the printer off. As such, these printers are effectively a ticking waste ink time bomb, in the sense that if you flip your printer over, as is shown in some of our instruction videos, then you are potentially going to have a whole load of excess ink that's just about being contained by the pad holder and the pads, that will then just drip out into the workings of the printer and quite possibly just kill the printer. So I just wanted to provide an alternative way of removing the waste pads if you've any concerns at all that the pads may be oversaturated. Get the waste pads out while the printer is still in its normal resting position, i.e. sitting on its base as it would do normally. It is absolutely essential, can't stress this enough, absolutely essential that before you do any of this, you have to protect your work area and the floor around your work area out a couple of meters. So you're going to want to have a lovely area, pretty much as if you were painting, decorating your room or whatever. Assume the worst and you can't really go wrong. The other thing is obviously gloves. You can actually move these printers so that the waste pads are hanging over the edge of your workbench or your table, so that you can gain access to the waste pads. You don't need to have a counterweight or anything like that on here to stop the whole thing falling over, as I'll show you. So what you do is you get your printer around like this, and here's the edge of your table, just here. Okay, so what we're doing is we're pulling the pads, the printer over until effectively the duplexer unit here is hanging just slightly over the edge. So it's hanging slightly over the edge, so that this waste pad holder, which you can see here, that is basically hanging over. Okay. Once you get it into that position, you then remove the screw that is holding your pad in place. Now, before you do that, make sure you are holding on to the pads just so that you're in control of the situation. Remove that screw. Then you need to release the catch just here, so that you can drop the pad holder out. Now obviously, again, make sure you have your hand in the right place, ready to catch this thing. And then you might need to get your screwdriver into this lip here just to pull it down, right? But once it starts to come down, you want to be in full control of the pad holder. It'll kind of hinge down at the back here. So if you're going to get any waste ink pouring out, it's going to come this way. But if you get that, gently pull that down like so. And then you can't really see this, but as with turning it over and everything else, as you bring this down, the waste tube, which is connected in here, will gradually just pull itself out of the funnel system. And then obviously very carefully, trying to keep the thing as level as possible, you then take your pad holder out from underneath the printer and put it on top. Once you've done that, then you move your printer back onto the desk where it's going to be good and secure. And at this point, you can then either replace the pads if that's what you were intending to do, or you can move on to fit the waste ink tank. Now, critical point, once this pad holder is removed, effectively your printer is diffused, for want of a better word. You don't really need to worry about the waste ink sloshing around because it's all contained in here. Okay, so once you've removed that, you can then move on to turning your printer over onto its front and then onto its top to then fit an external tank, or do whatever it is in terms of changing your pads. Okay, I just wanted to show you that so that you understood how to get yourself out of a potentially messy situation if those pads were completely saturated or oversaturated and likely to leak.